You're on.
Cameron?
You're double on.
Great. Good morning. It's Monday, December 20th, the Tuckahoe Board of Selectmen's meeting. Let's begin with a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any public input? Hearing none, let's move ahead to review and approval of minutes of our meeting last Monday, the 13th. I didn't see any.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, and then we have two sets of non-public minutes from that morning.
I'll move approval of the non-public.
Both or one?
I only have,
Ooh.
you have two.
You did.
I'll vote, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, thank you. Diane? Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
So, we wanted to take a couple of minutes and recognize the fact that you're retiring.
Thank you.
And we have a little gift here for you.
Well, thank you. Oh,
And we know you're going to be here, after a bit, you're going to be back helping us out with the planning board.
that's correct. With girls
But
on
it will be in a little different situation
Yeah.
than where you've been. And so on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for all of the years of work you put in, keeping the books for us, and
It was a pleasure and an honor.
certainly wish you the best. And as you turn this page, and go on to the next phase of your life. And hopefully it will be rewarding and relaxing and exciting.
Oh.
So
Hopefully not too exciting.
as exciting as you want it to be, right?
Boring
Right.
for a while is good.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Well,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Time in? Nope. All right. Good enough. Chief Thompson, come on down. Okay.
Excellent.
Short and sweet. We like that.
For 2021, we've had 217 fire calls, 278 medical, 106 service calls, and 11 special details for a total of 612. Oil burner inspections, gas burner inspections 46, oil burner 16, wooden pellet 9, and life safety 34. As you can see, as of December 17th, 2021, the department passed the numbers for 2007 for 609, which is the highest the department had ever had as far as busy-wise. And there was no major storms, summer or winter this year. We are in the process of trying to wrap up any projects that we may have left to complete for 2021. One project that is still on the list to complete is the painting of the interior of Bear Lake Station. Wentworth Group had given an estimate of $4,200 to complete the project. We are still trying to get that completed before the end of the year, but if it's not, is that something that can be encumbered?
So, we identify the money, we can certainly encumber that, and we're gonna be doing the encumbrances today. So if you have you've got the paperwork there, okay, great. We'll put that with the file that we'll address.
And Kathy answered my question as far as vote-wise, we still have outstanding bills for that as far as storage and the fall.
So how much is the, I'm sorry, Chief.
Oh, go ahead.
How much was the encumbrance?
It was 4,200, and that would have been from the station improvements, fire station improvements, which had, I believe, 4,600 in it. Fire station improvements had 4,694.
And as of when?
1210.
So that's in government.
Yep. It would be 014194037330.
Because you've only got $1,200 left.
Yes,
in the-
for a regular
Right.
budget.
Okay.
So you, all right, so we can go ahead and encumber that.
Yeah.
Against that, all right. You wanna make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we encumber $4,200 for the painting of the Mirror Lake Fire Station interior from the government buildings budget, $41.94.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And at a past selectmen's meeting, I had notified the board that the two Philips MRX cardiac monitors that the department currently uses would no longer be supported as of this year. One of the major items for the Firefighters Association donation letter this year was for the cardiac monitors. We've been working on donations as far as for the monitors. We were going to enter into a 3-year lease purchase agreement for the monitors, and the total of that was $70,825.22. And that was after a $10,000 trade-in for the 2 old units. The first payment was made for the 2 units. I have one of them sitting here. The Firefighters Association received an anonymous donation of $50,000, and which will be used to pay off the 2 Zoll units without any penalty for advance payment for those.
So you had already paid out $20,000?
But we had already put a down payment on the units. I think it was roughly for $20,000 to get the units coming and to get them here, so that there was no price increase or anything along that line.
So the Firefighters Association is gonna donate.
They're going to
Right.
donate both units.
Okay, so
In the amount
we need
of-
to schedule a public hearing to accept
And I will
donation.
get
Yeah.
all the proper paperwork, the letter
All right.
for that acceptance. But I just wanted to let you know
Yep.
ahead of time
All right.
for that.
Really good. So certainly the sooner we can pull that stuff together, the better. And the first thing that we have to do is make sure we get a notice in the paper
Yes,
about it. So if you'll coordinate with Cammie,
I sure will.
make sure she's got, I don't think the notice has to have a lot of specifics in it. It just has to notice that we're gonna have a hearing and that way it'll all be above board.
Sure.
So
And
well,
that's why we notify you
Right.
and get everything in place for that, so that everything is above board with that.
Yep.
The new monitors, they not only do defibbing, cardiac monitoring, as far as looking at your heart with 12 lead or 4 lead. We can transmit to the area hospitals of what we see on the monitor. For example, Huggins Hospital or CMC or Portsmouth, as long as we have a service that's available, so as far as telephone service, so that the doctors can see what the heart rate is and what we're seeing in the field. In a lot of cases, what they call STEMIs, as far as the cardiac issue that you have, it's great to know that ahead of time. Sometimes Huggins gets bypassed for one of the bigger hospitals to save people's heart muscle in that particular case. Does blood pressure, does capnography. It also does CO, as far as carbon monoxide, right in the same unit, so we don't have to have a separate unit now for that. And it measures your oxygen level. It also has a couple other functions that our old units didn't have, and I think they'll be a great addition as far as the department, and they've been really good. They do have a decent warranty as far as they go with them, and Zoll has been really decent to work with through this process. We had 3 different cardiac monitors that we went through, that we had in-house, and they were the one company that seemed to fit the bill, and all the other area departments, and I believe the medics at the hospital are also going with Zoll, so it's compatible. If we get, our current ambulance company also has the same units, so no matter where we go into, we can operate the units. So it's
Great.
it's decent.
If you could get one that would do the dishes, I'd fake a heart attack.
So that's where we're at
Really
with
good.
that. And as I
Thank
said,
you.
very short update. One thing that I just wanted you to know is that with our numbers, we do not keep track of phone calls that come into the department or anything that we handle in the department as far as the day-to-day operations.
This is when you roll.
This is just emergencies. Anything that we do as far as business-wise, department-wise, we do not keep track of that. So that's why the numbers are not, up in the very high numbers as far as for calls of service and things like that. So to me, I don't feel that we had the time to write down everything that is done with that. I think that our time is better spent accomplishing it. Do you have anything further with us? And I know that the budget's getting down, so that would bring me back around to, so there's roughly $1,000-something left for the
Yeah.
for the fire budget. The boat maintenance is gonna be well over that. Is that still gonna be?
So, when I look at your emergency management budget, you got lots of money left in there,
Yeah.
right? So, as far as I'm concerned, we have the money to cover it
Right.
between the 2
Yeah,
areas.
and we're in the black overall.
Yep, yep,
100,000.
yep. So you got
No
over
worries.
14,000 left in emergency management.
Yeah.
Now,
I do have some outstanding things with that, but.
Not $14,000.
Not $14,000.
Right. And how much are you talking about on the boat?
The boat will be just under $4,000.
Yeah. I think we're,
Good.
I think we're
So
good.
I was asked by one of the members of the budget committee to tell them what it actually costs to run a department. I didn't find it terribly difficult to figure out. The only 2 items were health insurance and retirement, which wasn't that hard to find. But the bottom line is I did the fire department in 2019, because that was really the last year before the pandemic hit. And came out to about $900,000. If you've got 600 incidents that you're dealing with, it's about $1,500 an incident. So just for your information.
Excellent. Thank you for taking the time to go through that.
That's why I get paid the big money.
Right, exactly.
And thank you very much for, I know that you don't get paid to go through and sit here and the day-to-day operations and everything that's done afterwards on your own time.
So, were there any warrant articles that you're looking at?
We were trying not to.
That's what I thought. I didn't remember that they were going to file
No, I think 2023 was a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far
The
as-
only article I have for you is lease payment on engine 2, right?
Yes.
And that's the
Yeah.
last payment.
That's the
That's
last
the
one.
final one on that one, yeah.
And, here's one other, I forgot to go over, the radios. Is that something that needs to be encumbered, or is that something that warrant, if we
That
get
was
the
a
radios,
wa-
it
that
was a warrant article?
So I don't think that's a lapsing warrant article, was it? We can check.
So that's a good question. If it's,
And we should know more. I just received 2 small bills,
yeah,
so I'm thinking if the radios are like right around the corner. I hope.
But you already have the order in for those
Yes.
radios?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So if we need to encumber, it's just a matter of,
Saying so.
yeah.
Yeah.
and I know Bill's not gonna be here next week, but maybe the thing to do this week is to take a vote to encumber that if it's not a
Right.
non-lapsing warrant article.
Yeah.
That way it's covered.
Do I need to look into that further, or is that something?
No, we'll look.
That's something we'll look
Okay.
into, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
So,
You want to make that
Let's-
motion now?
yes, let's do
All right, I'll
that.
make the motion that we approve the encumbering of the warrant article money for
It was
the
$120,000.
$120,000 for the radios for the fire department.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Get those radios.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Merry
Have a
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I didn't put
Hope you don't have to
Christmas
use
on.
that.
If you think of it, give my love to your in-laws.
This year.
All right. Steve Shigori, come on down.
Have a good day, Joe.
See, if Dennis was here, I'd call him Shaggerty. Because Dennis can't seem to figure out how to say my name.
Oh, Lord.
Is this
He's not the only one.
Chief?
That's
Non-public.
kind of a non-public thing, personnel thing.
Oh, no,
Thanks, Lord.
It was 4 degrees in Chippewa this morning.
Yeah, I had 8 in my house. I have a brook there, which keeps it a little warmer.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was,
I had a copy if you want it, but.
it was fine.
I'll take it.
This is fine. So,
I can write it.
yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Welcome to Winter.
So an involuntary hospitalization.
Yeah, IEA for mental health issue.
That's mental health.
Oh,
Somebody who either is a danger to themselves or others in the last 30 days,
Right.
or due to mental illness is unable to care for themselves such that it endangers their welfare. In this case, it was a
And you
danger
got
to somebody
Huggins
else.
to go along with that?
You don't have a choice.
Well, they seem to think they do sometimes, but.
No, not if we bring them there for this particular thing. Then they did a prayer complaint. The family did a prayer complaint, so.
Okay.
I have a question, Chief.
Sure.
You have a welfare check. Did someone call you, or is that part of your system where they can call in, and if they don't, you go?
That, if call out, that'd be somebody calling us in the night to say, hey, can you check on this person because
Yep.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Not like, hey, we haven't heard from somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, something their phone went dead while I'm talking to them. Or,
Sure. Well, that's great.
So what else is going on?
I spent most of Friday getting our login.gov and sam.gov and all of our, so we can get the federal grants. We're still in the system to get federal grants because that runs out this week. We have to update that stuff every year, so I switched it and updating it. Really the only change was changing Diane out and putting Kathy in as the accounts receivable person. But I had to go through a process to do that. I was having some trouble. It wasn't as clear and straightforward as I thought it should be. But that's what I spent
It's the
Friday
federal
doing pretty
government.
much. Yeah. And then today I noticed there was an email about grants.gov. It was expiring, so I had to update that this morning. Get us back into good graces with that. Let's see, last week I met with the state Homeland Security, our local rep, who has, who's doing the grant for the EOC part of the new station. So I met with her last Monday. I gave her copies because to do that, again, you have to have the environmental impact, you have to have the no historical impact, no archaeological, it has to be all cleared off. Anyway, I gave her copies of all our studies that showed that we're good there. So, and she took photos to submit it. Could be another month or so before we find out what, if anything, we're getting for that. I told her we really need it by February.
This is an additional grant to the one we already have secured.
Yeah, this is a Homeland Security one.
And is the grant that we have already secured, if we make any changes to the building, does that subject that to any further review?
Yes.
My understanding is that if we change the building,
If we gotta go back to
go
them
back
for,
and,
Okay, but if we add something,
if we change the building, we have to
okay.
go back to them and get it approved.
Because I'm looking at, and we're gonna have Phil in next month, but I'm looking at the estimated cost. We're looking for an additional, what, $400,000.
so,
439, I believe, is what you.
well,
But
I came up with something different, but,
At any rate,
yeah, we're looking for additional money that we're gonna, yeah.
I don't think it's gonna cost that additional money, looking at the estimates that they're using, and I'm gonna hammer the construction manager a little harder. That said, we had, the lady from, the grant administrator from the trailer park in here,
Yeah, Donna Lane.
Donna Lane, and she's given us information about the person that she works with in the world of grants about solar grants, and I'd like to add that solar to this project and then work on a grant to do that, but I think we can probably accomplish it with the money that we have.
I think solar's is separate package, so it can be done as a standalone.
I know.
Well, I just worry that we get to the point where, you know, they're not gonna spend it, we'll put another $400,000 in the pot. That just pushes that 600,000 that the government's given us further down the road. Because they're not gonna spend a nickel of their money until we spend all of our money.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's right.
So if there's 50 grand left over, I don't want it just sitting there. And we should plug it into some.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not sure what you, if you're thinking a ground mount system like we talked before, I don't think that impacts the building to the fact that we have to go to RDA. RDA is looking at, you know,
Well,
does
no, okay, I understand where you're going with that. What I'm thinking is, if there's RDA money left at the end of the day,
oh, right, okay.
I'd like to
Gotcha.
be able to use it in that format.
But I don't know, we'd have to talk to, I'd probably have to run that by RDA to say,
Yeah.
we have to have a kind of a cost to that and say.
So, I know we talked about getting Phil and Bill in here.
In January.
Yeah, so we're not meeting on the 3rd because it's a holiday. do we want to have them come like on Friday for a work session on the 7th and just deal with that and then do our regular stuff on Monday?
Works for me.
Yeah, that's fine,
Yeah,
that's fine.
so,
So there's some time to,
well, then it's just a single agenda item and,
Right.
you know, if it takes us 2 hours to walk through it with them, then nothing else is pressuring it and we can just focus on that.
Because the other thing I'm discovering is that when they put this thing out for bid, they're putting it out on these national things or these big trade things. I want to keep the money as local as I possibly can. I mean, there are probably local contractors that can do a lot of this work and are just as bondable as anybody else. I know that there's probably 3 concrete companies other than the one concrete company that they've talked to. As far as the excavation and the general contracting part of it. There's a number.
So I think we're
We're
in
only
a-
talking about a 4,500 square foot building. And that's significantly smaller than most of the houses we're approving building permits for.
So what we're dealing with now is an estimate, right?
Right.
It hadn't been put out for bid.
Right, but that's another reason I think we need Cobb Hill in here.
Well,
Because I want a little more control over this bidding process, because I think this is really where the money's changing hands that we don't have any control over.
yeah, well, I think they changed it to guaranteed maximum price now, is what they did, and I think,
Well, that was driven by the economy that we were running through. Now we're looking at $500,000 and $400,000 more cash.
mhm.
I want a little more thumb on the scale on our side.
Agreed.
At any rate,
yeah, no, I don't disagree, I'm just saying, they
hammering you
made,
over it, but just to forewarn you of where I'm gonna be going with these
Yeah.
guys.
I mean, so I guess the thing I should do, run it by Phil about the solar, is that what
Right,
I should ask about? And,
yeah.
is there grant money that will cover the cost, or?
As far, I mean, I haven't contacted the
Okay.
person, but according to Donna Lane, that's their business. It was a big effort for solar. I mean, I don't know if you've gone south lately, but some of the installations are enormous.
No, you don't have to go too far south.
No, like the one right behind the Volkswagen garage in
I was gonna
Rochester.
say Rochester, Marlboro.
Yeah. But that isn't coming out of everybody's checkbook. A lot of that's government money that's getting funneled towards that effort.
That's right.
That's my IRS taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
assumed some of my taxes came back here.
Yeah.
It would be nice.
Yeah, so I guess so I should check with Phil on that, or should I check with RDA to see if that requires another,
Well, you need both.
both?
We need Phil for the size,
Yeah,
because he's done the energy estimates. And then we know what we're looking for. Then we can contact the grant people and say, this is how big a machine we need.
yeah,
And I talked to, go on and on, but I talked to Gordon Hunt after the budget hearing and said, yeah, if we put a solar plant over there at the police station, why don't we just pipe some over to the library and have some pay-to-go charging stations and start paying for the thing? Make that part of the whole program here. I mean, I think there's some opportunity for us in that area. And then we'll get you into electric cruisers. Somebody asked me about electric cruisers, and I said, I'm not gonna,
Hey, if we had a woke person in Tuftonboro, like they do in Wolfboro, that wants to donate an electric car for a cruiser, I'm sure we would accept it.
I just don't know if a 3 Series Tesla is the way to go. I mean, you still need the capabilities.
Right,
there's a few places that, yeah, I can see some issues.
yep.
There's a few places that have gone with them, tried them out, I don't know if they're in our climate necessarily.
So we
I was
know,
doing as
Okay.
administrative.
Okay, let me just disabuse you of that.
Yeah,
Our climate does not affect it at all. 85% of the energy use right now in Scotland, which is significantly further north than us, is solar and wind.
yeah.
It is an acceptable means of
I was
creating
talking about
energy.
electric cruisers.
right,
I'm not talking about solar power, I'm talking about electric cruisers.
right. So what happens is.
There's like people driving electric cars all over the place here.
Well,
See them every
right.
day.
Hybrids.
No,
No, those electric cars.
Yeah,
I've seen some Teslas.
yeah. Yeah.
But we take them from our house. You can put superchargers in our houses.
And,
Maybe.
yeah, so one
I
of
mean,
the.
that's issues to think about.
One of the factors that we know in Tuftonboro is, and we found this out with the Charger, ground clearance. So all-wheel drive is fine, but some of the places we go into, you gotta have a little more ground clearance or you got issues. So it's not just the all-wheel drive that gets everything done.
Just take a look at that Tesla pickup truck and figure that with blue lights on it. I think you'd love it. Gee,
Yeah,
You look
I'll
great on it.
contact Elon through Twitter and see if he'll do
yeah, there you go.
Please do.
So it's, I think looking at the solar thing is okay. I'm not sure from a project standpoint what it does for us, other than the best we can hope for is something that puts the solar in and doesn't cost us anything
Well,
upfront.
actually, I think it could do quite a lot if we're doing air-to-water heat pumps, which is what they've got in the design. I mean, we could effectively power that and heat it. So it's not as if it's just,
No, we're running a conventional boiler.
well, they'll put a conventional boiler in for the hot water making and the, what do you call it? Extra heat that they might need. But my understanding was that they had air-to-water heat pumps going on. There were 4 of them sitting out back.
I thought it was
That was a change because
because of
of the,
concerns that it wouldn't,
Low
let's just say,
temperature
low
issue.
temperatures,
Right.
it wouldn't work effectively.
We don't have all day. But
But
I just went to a house that has a solar, has an air-to-water heat pump situation.
by air water, you mean,
A heat pump that changes the heat in the air to hot
so
water.
it's a, outside is air,
Outside.
not air, not ground loop or anything like that, right? Yeah.
Right,
You just went to one.
yeah. And they have a backup, but it's a very small backup.
That was the problem, there was no, well,
well,
It was- we went from one to one, so-
that's a whole
Yeah.
different discussion.
they didn't offer a backup, they offered a replacement
Right.
with a propane heat,
Right, which is why we need to get them in here.
so. Because there was discussion of a backup doing some baseboards as backup.
Right.
All right.
All right,
Well, I guess my question, since we're on it, what was that place using for backup?
Or Renai,
To heat the water?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought they would offer up, but I thought it was something else they did different.
There was.
Study, but I guess we'll take some time to look at that again before they come in.
We'll kick that dead horse when it comes in.
yep, yep.
So that's where that's at. I do have a couple of things to talk about for covering. One's the radio. We were talking about getting 2 next year. I think you get 1 this year. There's
Car radios.
car radio, mobile for the Ram pickup.
So you're sitting on 48,000 right now. Right?
Yeah, I figured, yeah, that's about right. A few bills still come in and some stuff to pay, but not that much.
Not 48,000.
Not even close to that
Right,
much.
Right, all right. So
Was
this
there
is-
a second one you were talking about?
Well, there was talk about, here's radar signs that can go up, you want to go there. And then printers in the cars, those are the 3. So, yes, that way we can do e-ticket and e-crash and submit stuff electronically to the state.
And the radio change that you made doesn't accommodate for that, or you need to be able to print something?
And you'll be able to print it.
So you've got the computers in the cars, but without a printer, you can't, there's no hard copy.
No e-ticket, no e-crash.
Okay.
So how much is the printer?
So $5,227 for printers. 50.
That's 2 of the radar signs, similar to what Wolfboro has.
Which is what?
The small ones that hang on the,
So it's the same that we have currently, or?
no, it's different. It's smaller, it doesn't have the message on top or bottom, you know,
It just reads out the,
just reads out the speed.
and
But we can co-locate it on, that
Existing.
one we could put on the state roads.
okay,
We can co-locate that on a speed sign on state roads.
yep. And then you've got
Our
this,
sign we can only put on our town roads. We have.
and then this radio is $5,204, is that right? Okay. So,
There is a grant for this. I'm working on doing some of that. It pays a portion of that. I'm looking to see if I can get that. I don't know. Yeah. So for the printers, because they really, the state wants everybody to go to e-crash, e-ticket. But my feeling is, if you want it, you should pay. Saves them more than it saves us. Put it that way. They'll get the tickets electronically. They don't have to try and,
so the three projects that you want to encumber are $17,902. That sound right?
that's all right.
And you've got more than enough money left in your budget for
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah, I just see the radar as it's something that just came up.
What's
The
that,
other-
the signs?
The other two, well, we've got signs, but now all of a sudden we're gonna put signs on
So,
the state roads.
we've been talking about additional signs for a while.
Right,
And these we can put on town roads or state
but I
roads.
thought we were talking about additional signs similar to the ones we had. So this is a change up on that.
Yes. Well, I talked about going to a different type of sign actually when I was talking about it because
Yeah,
I wanted to have the cloud-based, so it would go at the cloud. These are capable. I decided not to do that because that's ridiculous money that they want for a cloud-based system.
so these gather data.
They gather
Right.
data, you can Bluetooth and get it.
Yep.
The other one can Bluetooth and get too, I guess, the one we have. But these can co-locate, they're smaller, they don't have the message underneath. They're metal housing, but Wolfboro I think has something similar. You can, the advantage of it by being smaller is it can be co-located and put on the state roads. One we have, we can't put on state roads. Price is about the same.
The state roads are the main arteries in town, and apparently, speed enforcement falls to us as much as we can, and we could possibly have some effect by co-locating signs and letting people know they're going too fast, is what you're saying. Good. That makes sense.
That's the difference. The sign we got, I thought we can put out there, then it won't. They won't allow it, and it's really too big to co-locate. We have to set our own posts, and we can't do that on the state roads. Versus these, we can co-locate on state signs. Just tossing it out there, whatever. The radio would be good to get. I mean, we gotta do something with that radio in that truck because it doesn't,
Right.
it's not,
The
I can't
printer
get
and the
proof.
radio, I don't have any trouble with all, that 10 grand,
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'm not convinced on the radar signs, but I'm waiting for a motion there, Mr. Pike. That's, I mean, how much of a grant are you thinking you get, 50%?
On the printers?
There's grants on the printers too?
No, there's no grants on the signs,
Okay, it's just on the printer.
just on the printers.
So the total amount of funds we want to, or
$17,902
$902.
covers the 3 projects.
I'll make a motion that we encumber $17,902 to fund these 3 projects that have been presented by the chief.
And I will second it. Any further discussion? You have you have reservations?
I have reservations, but I'll wait and see how the chief does this time around. He'll be here next year. I'll remind him of how he did.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And
Anything else?
you were looking for staff for your office. Is that still ongoing or
I
not?
will be once I get a free time to,
Okay.
I've been trying to, like I said, I was trying to get our status, keep our status in good graces with the grant, because that's, they said 600, I thought it was 341,000 we had been approved for
In the grant?
the grant, yeah.
Yes, I did
So,
too.
but you had a call from
I've
the
been
senator.
trying to get a hold of somebody to find out where that came from, that other 341, because I think they're just restating what was already said.
Well, if they want to give us twice as much money,
Yeah,
I'm not going to turn
We'll
it
take
away.
it.
Yeah, exactly. But,
yeah.
but
I don't
if we're
think-
going to count on twice as much, we want to make sure that it's there and that it doesn't,
Right.
it's like, oh yeah, no,
No, that was a mistake.
right, yeah, well, we counted it twice, but we're only
So
going to give
we'll-
it to you once.
Let's go through the numbers exactly next time we meet on.
I'm pretty sure it's just 341.
So, can we get Cobb Hill and the architect in on the 7th?
I can try because
Yeah.
Chip had asked me and I got them approved for the 10th.
For the 10th?
Well, I'm sure that.
Well,
Give it a shot.
we could do it then, it's just we got all,
Right.
the rest of the meeting. My thought is
Yeah.
just a dedicated sessions, just that, roll up our
that.
sleeves and
If we can
sit around
find
the
out.
table, drink coffee and,
Let me try for the 10th. I
yes,
mean the
I'll
7th.
see if you can get them on the 7th. I
Yeah.
think it just works better to
Have the
one item,
a single item work session, yeah.
be able to spend time
Yeah,
going through
you
the
know.
lines to say what's this.
I mean, if
what's
it
that.
runs long, I'll buy sandwiches, we can just, no alcohol because it's a town building. but-
Oh, wait a minute, how am I gonna make a decision?
Well, you have to take a walk out to the truck.
I mean,
Keep my alcohol
I
level.
gotta go check my truck out for a minute.
Might have to have a bottle of cup.
Yep,
Good.
all right. Okay,
Good luck.
thanks,
Have a Merry
chief.
Christmas, chief.
Yeah.
Thank you. We do have a couple of,
So, yeah, do we need to, we don't need you here for that, though.
probably not.
Okay.
And then
So this is-
I know there's-
memo.
That's,
Yeah,
that's
we
the
got
same
that.
that we discussed last week. This
Yes.
is just the
Yes.
ongoing.
Yes.
Right,
And everybody got the other memos too.
we did, yeah. So we'll deal with that in non-public, but you don't need to be, thank you, chief.
All right.
All right. Okay. Stephen,
Yes.
come on down.
Before we get too deep, thank you for the wonderful Christmas card. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Trying to keep everybody in the commission going.
What's going on?
So, first we have the encumbrances.
Yep,
So that's the only one I have for rollover into next year. I hope.
okay,
I have a bill that's supposedly coming in from UNH for about $4,000 for the testing and everything.
mm-hmm,
Supposed to be here about 3 weeks ago, but I guess they're going over to a new accounting system and it had some glitches in it, so
it's always something.
it's always something. It's supposed to be on the way. The only other outstanding invoice I know that's out there, it's supposed to be in before the end of the year, is from the appraiser for the bean lot. I
Okay.
met him out there on the 20th, and she said she'd have the bill to us before the end of the year.
All right. So last year, we encumbered funds for this.
Yep. And as far as I know, that he's given us a couple of bills already, and that we've used those encumbered funds that we had from last year.
So.
That's why the amount hasn't, in that account, hasn't gone down
So,
this year.
so what it looks to me like we encumbered 4,000 toward it last year, and we used 960 of that, so there's 3,000 in that encumbrance left, unless I'm misreading this.
You could be right, I wasn't here last year, I don't know.
Right,
Bill.
right. No.
I'm kind of new to a lot of this
Yep,
stuff, so.
yep. And is he waiting on us? Is that why we're not there?
Well, this is new, so this is the bean lot, most of this.
Okay. All right. So this is separate from what we encumbered.
Yes, this is all from, that I've been involved in all this year, so
All right.
this is not, definitely not from leftover from last year.
Okay. So he's got a pretty big backlog of work out there for us. All right, so as I look at your department budget, you've got, as of right now, 12,325, 12,782 left in your budget. Your acquisition and monitoring, you expect to have a bill coming in, is that, no?
So I just gave a bill to Kathy this morning,
Okay.
about $400.
Yep,
I have a bill coming in from the appraiser for the bean lot,
right,
and I honestly don't know what that would be. Probably.
yep, all right. So you mentioned a UNH, what is the UNH?
So the UNH is for the water testing that we do on Mirror Lake and Winter Harbor. And that's gonna be about $4,000.
Okay,
And you got 3,000 in that line.
Yep.
yep.
A lot of the extra money was in the administrative assistance, there's
Yeah, yeah.
like $3,000
Yeah.
in there that we just
You didn't need, that's
didn't
fine.
need.
That's-
Hold on, I missed some pages.
Hmm?
And actually, I'm sorry, so we're getting two bills from UNH. One's $31.20 for the water testing,
Yep,
and the other is $1,500. We bought a dissolved oxygen meter for testing 19 Mile Brook. That was $1,470.
okay,
So that would come out of the environmental study 1900 book line.
okay,
So that 1,500,
It's gone.
okay, and you've already got the equipment.
We'll have it by the end of the year, yeah.
right. All right, so those two lines you actually will spend. So you're looking to encumber this $3,065 for ecosystems management.
And that's a one-time event?
Yep, yes.
It's not gonna be a recurring annual thing?
Well, only if we use him for other lots that are coming on.
Right. So we don't have to create a line or any of that sort of
No.
So in addition to that, do we need to encumber the, was it $4,000 I saw somewhere?
That was the UNH.
No, the lot up on Sodom Road.
Oh, the Great Meadow expansion?
Right.
So
So we got $3,000, $3,040 left in that. Because he's paid Vanderpool $960. Or he paid him more
So-
than that.
so that's the encumbrance from last year,
Right.
right?
But if it's not, I mean, we may have to run it again this year.
Right. So that, and I don't know if we need to re-encumber or if the encumbrance runs. So that's a question. Maybe you can grab Kathy and see if she can come in so we can make sure that we keep it available.
So, run up on it one more time. We got this one.
Yes, that's the only one that I'm expecting to have to encumber.
Okay. And how much is that?
$3,065.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we encumber $3,065. Shall we for Candy? Shall we for Candy?
Yeah, probably ought to.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a recorder running, but it'd be
Right.
nice if she can jot along with it.
And I have the signs coming in for the end of the trail
Yeah.
to post there,
Good
so
idea.
they'll be here, those will be here tomorrow.
I noticed there was a Facebook post and a lot of pictures from a resident that came from the other side on that trail. And everybody's totally impressed. They love it.
It's just on the phone.
Yeah,
I think it's
okay.
wonderful.
Yeah,
All right.
Good
getting a
job.
lot of really good positive
Yeah,
responses.
a lot of
A lot of
feedback.
people are using it. It's really been a great community thing.
Well, that's good. And we have, of course, some other trails in town that have been here for a long time and
Right.
don't have the visibility. And, you know, we talked about putting kiosks up
Yeah.
for them. And part of it is people knowing about us.
Yeah, exactly,
You know,
right. I
and-
think maybe over the winter, I'm gonna start looking at how we can incorporate some of those in our Facebook pages too.
Yeah.
Get it, you know, to your point, Bill, I think the more community awareness about these trails. I don't know how many people I've talked to that don't even realize this trail's out behind the fire station.
Right.
And they're beautiful up there.
Yeah. Yep,
And there's the wildlife park on 109.
yep. All right, you were gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we encumber $3,065 from the conservation budget 4612.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And you had something else for
Yeah.
us, but it's non-public.
That's correct, yeah.
Can you hang around for a little
I
while?
can,
Okay, that'd be
absolutely.
good, then we can get through the rest of the meeting
Yep.
and,
Okay, just so we're all clear on, because I know it's Berlin,
right,
there are people's names that are gonna come into this conversation and amounts of money, okay? Because just discussing a proposed project doesn't qualify for non-public.
I know, I got the lecture from Kathy.
Yeah.
And Cammy, they ran me through the whole thing about what you
Right.
can and what you cannot do.
right,
People watch this thing.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, so, yeah,
Okay, thanks.
all right.
So I'll just
So,
be in my office, they have other conservation.
okay, super. So the question we have, encumbrances from last year that we haven't used, do we have to re-encumber them? Or
I
do
believe you do.
You do, okay.
Yeah, some of them you don't, I could check with Diane if she's sitting there. Diane. There's some of them you don't have to re-encumber, correct?
Well, you can't until the end of the year to spend it.
No, if you have any
No.
left from last year.
Right,
Well, if there's the project, you could encumber it if the project's not done.
Right,
okay.
But you
'Cause
have
that's
to
the-
re-encumber them all. If you want to keep the money from last year, you have to re-encumber it, correct?
As far as I know, I mean, yes.
You're gonna have-
I've not had a situation where the money wasn't spent and you had to encumber it, but.
And on
if the-
warrant articles, are they generally non-lapsing or are they generally lapsing? Or is there,
For a warrant article, if the money isn't spent and the job isn't done, you can encumber that
okay,
for a year.
all right.
Unless it says non-lapsing in it. If you put
Right.
non-lapsing in it,
Right.
then you're covered.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't
that's-
have to encumber.
Yeah, that's exactly it, but not all not all warrant articles will say that.
So I'll make a motion that we re-encumber $4,000, budget line 4612 for the Great Meadows land easement.
So there's only $3,040 left.
$3,040, I apologize.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to the signature file.
Kathy was on the list too for a point if you wanna,
No, that's all right. We wait.
you wanna wait.
Do it when we do encumbering. We're gonna eventually have to have a non-public.
Is that always
Yeah.
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. Well, I'm here because I want to listen to the encumbering so that I have notes from what.
Okay,
Yeah, we're
all right,
writing them all down.
Okay.
yeah. We being Camden.
You're what?
Right.
Yeah,
You're weaning in?
yeah, we're
Writing
doing
all
some, we're
that.
doing some
The
hand
That's
scratching, but the real record is being done by Camden.
Yes, there's been a lot of petition.
All right, so, on the signature file, we have an administrative abatement that we approved at our last meeting, but we didn't actually sign the abatement. This is $29.97. It was an online payment fee that didn't go through because the owner is from overseas.
So I'll make a motion that we sign the abatement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This other one is that's an encumbrance. All right. Action items. First item is Tuftonboro Times, winter edition. The deadline for articles is Friday, January 7th.
Is it my turn?
I believe it
I
is.
think so.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So Friday, January 7th, he wants the,
Okay,
you want this?
sure, oh, I'm sorry. Get my glasses on, I can't figure out where you're looking.
Yeah, that's the note and all that. All right. And then we have Donna Lane, she's got a request for $180,000 for the project at North Country Village.
I think she got it, didn't she?
No, I'm gonna do it this week.
Okay.
All
I
right.
didn't get it till Thursday after I already did
All
checks.
right, so, so we pay this when we get the money, is that how that works?
Well, what we do is we create the check
Yeah,
and then we keep an eye out, and when the money comes in, then we release the check. That way it doesn't hold up the check until the money actually shows up, because then you're looking at another week or two, depending on. So they have us cut the check and we sit,
Right.
and when I see the money goes into the bank account, then I release the check.
all right, so we don't need to do anything on this? It's
No,
just-
I think they're just
other
giving
than
FYI.
that it's going.
Heads up, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So next item I have is fire resistant vertical files. We talked about this before. To replace the non-fire resistant files in the back room. And I don't know if we have,
One's legal size and
okay. And this will replace all of the
Correct.
non-fire resistant ones, right?
3 legals and 7.
So that's $21,000, $22,000. And we looked at doing it last year, and they weren't available. Any idea on availability?
Those were available.
They are available, okay? So some of the files in the back room, some of the cabinets are fire resistant, and some of them aren't. The room has a fire rating. So I guess the question is that
Yeah, you're going to, it's where we need to go.
Right, right.
And that would come out of,
Well, you know,
We have to jump around a bit.
so we have 26,000 in legal that's unspent. So if we ordered these now, we don't need to encumber it, is that right, Cammy? If they're available.
How soon would they get here?
Last week it was the 21st.
Of this month?
Yes.
So it'll be within the.
I'm looking at the calendar
Oh,
behind you. sorry.
Okay, I'm like.
It looks like I'm looking at it.
So it could be as
It could be
the
next
first
week.
week of January would still work.
Yeah.
As long as we, because we're still,
If I ordered them this week and they're still on the schedule that they were on last week,
and that's a delivered installed price.
no,
that's, no, because I don't know what the shipping cost would be until I actually, because of the weight of them. So that's gonna be additional.
And then someone to put them in there.
Yes, we
Right.
need to hire someone to do it because we don't have anyone
And you
here
have
that
all
can
the
do
stuff
it.
to take out.
Correct.
And we don't have any storage facility really, no way to utilize them anyway. So if we ordered them and
Yeah.
delivered, where would we put them?
Yeah.
And then we need to know the freight.
Yep.
Oops.
Huh? Well, I'm,
They're heavy, they're over 400 pounds apiece.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But we can hire people to furnish movers or whatever,
Probably, yeah.
put them in, right?
It is a fireproof run.
yeah. Well, there's no way in the world we're gonna approve it without knowing the freight,
Right.
because how are we gonna pay for it at that
Yeah,
point?
usually the heavy ones, they charge you extra for delivery. Because they have to bring a truck with a power tailgate usually.
Right.
Yep. Well, do we want to encumber money for these and then get the order, figure the total order out? And, I mean, obviously freight wouldn't be encumbered because we don't know what it is at this point.
Right. So the total on that is 20,000 or 22,000?
It's 21 8 something.
So 22,000
Yep.
bucks.
Right.
I wonder if we could pull up the one I did last year, but would have fit in and then we canceled it.
Well, maybe.
We had fun on, but it could change.
Yeah, 2181.
Yeah, my opinion, I don't mind encumbering $22,000 and then working this out through the winter, but there's ancillary costs, the
Yep.
shipping, the installation, the disposal,
Yep.
changing the files over, who's gonna do that?
So,
I would assume that our office staff would be responsible
Right.
for changing.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking a lot of files.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
And most of them are mine.
Most of them are
Most of the
yours,
building
well, then
files.
you're gonna have to do.
Well, then, yeah, that'll be you.
And the thing is, I mean, you're gonna get exactly what's out there. I'm gonna need another one pretty quick.
yeah,
Well, so, okay, so.
I'm just
which
saying.
bolsters my position of encumbering $22,000
Okay,
and then having a discussion
Yep.
after the first of the year, because now we're dealing with a new budget and we can.
Right, so now next year, you know, I don't, those files don't come out of my budget, they come out of the office budget, but
Right.
within
It's
the next
gonna
year,
come
they're
out
gonna
of
need
the-
another one.
Gonna
Yep.
come out of the legal budget this time around.
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
All right.
yep.
so if you get,
Let's encumber the funds.
if you encumber what's there and then you get one more and then when you have someone move, at least it all gets moved at once and you don't have to
Yeah,
fiddle another one in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, we're not doing it in January,
Right.
which is another issue.
Right.
I mean,
right. Yep,
we can
all right,
store
let's
them
do
in the
that.
police garage for that matter,
Yeah.
he doesn't use it.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Nothing else there.
Right. I'll make the motion that we encumber $22,000 for the purchase of fireproof file cabinets.
I'll second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
and I guess you can make a note that we're gonna take that out of the legal, because that's the only place it's got
Right.
room.
yep. All right, and so we also have this solar proposal that was a follow-up to what somebody sent a request in, wondering what we were doing last week. This we got in September. I
Oh, this is the
do,
one.
That's that one at the transfer station.
yeah, I do vaguely remember,
Well, you,
getting something,
last
but-
time, before Cammy came, you had told me to tell them, we accept your proposal and it's under consideration. That's what Chip had said. Because like he said, he would want to hire other people to get bids and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think we have to, they're gonna keep contacting her
right,
until they get either, we're not interested at this time, or something, I think. they
But will
said.
are they worried about her extended warranty on her car? That's
Yeah,
what
really.
this is gonna turn into.
yeah,
Exactly, she's gonna
Yeah.
be getting regular emails from these people unless you, I think when you say it's under consideration, it's kind of, have you dealt with them since you've been here? No, right?
Mm-mm.
No, yeah, it was me,
mhm,
and I was,
yep. So, you know, it's,
it's yay or nay, not at this time, or something, whatever you guys decide.
We're in the middle of budget season. and
well, I think
we're not
we got
gonna go-
plenty on the plate right now.
Right.
I do agree with what we said before, which is interesting to look at, okay? If we're gonna seriously consider doing something, we would wanna put an RFP out.
Yeah,
And,
we
and,
need
and, and not just say, oh, this is the guy that knocked on our door and
He's gonna get it.
he's gonna get it. You know.
Well, he's not gonna get it, but
Right, right, so.
we do need to put an RFP out, but we need to.
It's
decide
not an
how we're
Electrolux
gonna-
vacuum cleaner that
I
he's
mean,
selling.
part of what I brought up to the chief of police was,
Right.
if there's grant money out there, we're not gonna get into lease arrangements or
Right,
co-ownership arrangements. We're just
Right.
gonna get into installation.
Right.
Sure. Makes perfect sense.
yep. All right, let's move on with other encumbrances. We got several here for buildings. So we have some projects identified and in process with Jack. One is we started the heat pump up at the townhouse. So we need to encumber $4,600 for that. We've already paid out $2,300.
Is that the mini split that you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And,
And then after that's done, just so you know, there'll be a rebate from the co-op, so we'll get some money back that goes.
yeah,
Nice.
yep. And then we got a door and carpet, the office over here. Right? 1,200 for the door,
Yep.
$775 for the carpet.
And then there'll be, like I say, on top of that's the wiring, and then there's an alarm button on the desk,
Yep,
and Knight does that. And I think when we do that over, it should probably come from the wall and not in the middle of the carpet like it is now.
Yep.
And then running across under the desk after it's moved, so.
Yep. All right.
What, I don't see the night security.
It's not on there.
How much,
They couldn't tell me.
can you give me a guess?
Couple $100 probably.
Okay, so that,
That could be next year on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
And,
It's the same thing with moving the plug. I talked to Scott Thompson about moving the plug, because there's a back-to-back plug where the door's gonna go. And he told me, give me a ballpark, $250, $300 to move it
Yeah.
and put it back in, so.
and then you also want to use money from this year's budget to change your tires out.
Right, I've already ordered the tires, and the tires are actually in, they're at 603, so that's all set. It's just a matter of
$200, $200 to,
mounting them again, the
yeah,
front end line, just for the new tires, yeah.
okay. So let's deal with that first. That's out of a different area. Right.
So do you want
So,
to,
That would be out of the,
Jack's
out of Jack's budget.
So it's gonna overrun the vehicle maintenance, but there's other monies left because of meetings
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was
but
virtual
it's not
this year.
gonna push the whole budget?
No,
No.
no. Yeah, you got 2,600 left in there at this
Yeah.
point. So.
All right, I'll make a motion that we encumber
$200.
$200 for the changing of tires from budget 4290.
Second?
I'm sorry,
Nope.
4240.
For 240.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then, out of the buildings budget, we got
$9,585.
4,600 plus 1,200 plus
And the carpeting,
775?
the carpeting's going where?
In Kathy's office.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
That one wasn't done when we did the rest of the building. 'cause
yeah, it's pretty tired.
It's very tired.
So, yeah, so I'm getting $6,575 for those three items. Is that right?
No,
No, that seems a bit much.
yeah.
It's
A lot.
1,200, 300, and 775.
Yeah.
And 4,600 for the mini split.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh, that's over the townhouse though.
Yeah, it all comes out of government buildings, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know whether,
Should.
I don't know if it was all government buildings or it's specific to what building, that's all, just curious.
Yeah. So, all right, so let's do the 4,600 out of the townhouse improvements.
Is that a motion?
I move, we encumber $4,600 townhouse improvements for the mini split.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then, what do we want out of town office?
It would be 12, 775, and then 5, so 3 for the electrician and a couple $100 a night.
All right,
3275?
Sure.
2275.
2275.
2275.
Yeah, all right.
That's without the 500, that's.
No,
No.
it's more than that.
It's more than
It's
that.
775 plus 12 plus 5.
So it's 2475.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds better.
all right.
Okay, so I'll move 2,475 be encumbered out of budget 4194.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you got anything else you need money for?
I think that was it.
All right. So, planning board needs an encumbrance for map work in connection with the master plan update.
Is that,
Hmm?
is that the,
That's that, yeah, yeah. So that's $2,100.
I'll make a motion that we encumber $2,100 as requested by the planning board for the master plan update
Out of 4191,
of
right?
4191.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, we have also remaining encumbered funds on the master plan update. If I look at this correctly, from last year of $5,154. And I know we don't have all the bills in on that yet, so we probably ought to re-encumber that.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Can I have the amount of that one again, I'm sorry?
$5,154.17,
Thank you.
but,
Just round
you
it.
know, that's, that is. And we have two items from our road agent. One is the shim work that we had previously approved at $18,000 for Canaan Road for this year. That they didn't get, we approved it late in the year, they didn't get to it. So we're talking about pavement up there next year. It would be nice to take money we have now and put it toward that.
$18,000 is what I read.
Yep.
I'd make the motion that we encumber $18,000 for paving of 800 feet of Canaan Road. Under the, I don't know the number,
4312.
4312, under 4312.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the other thing is,
Tree work.
he's got $20,000 for tree work. And looks like,
He had $5,348 left.
he had 5348 left, but he also has other money in other lines that's,
No, I'm just wondering how much of this is gonna get flat paid for in 2021.
yep.
But I'll make a motion that we encumber $20,000 for ongoing tree work from budget 4312.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I think that's all we have for encumbrances.
Is it the Tufts family? What are we
So-
doing with that?
Yeah, that's parking, right?
Yeah, but is he looking to encumber that, or is, I thought we had money budgeted for next year for
This
that?
is next year's work,
Right,
Right.
so it has nothing to do with encumbrance.
We're not gonna encumber it, no.
so we talked with him about, he was concerned about doing rebuilding or repairs, but this is just installation and removal.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Hold on, what was I doing?
so,
I thought I read something about repairs.
maybe you did,
One moment.
maybe I,
Also needed as an up to $500 allowance for maintenance and repairs on equipment in the year 2022.
well,
Yeah, I think it's all 20.
So it is all
Yeah.
2022.
yeah,
So we're not gonna encumber anything there.
no,
Okay.
I
And
have
the
a
and the
question.
Mitsubishi
What part?
split,
we did that, right?
we did that already?
Yeah.
Yes.
4,600, yeah.
2,300. Oh,
No.
46.
Yeah, we paid 23 already. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on, speaking of Parks and Rec. So, he came to me and mentioned that you guys might be sending a couple of children to some kind of punt football
Right.
type of thing.
Yep.
And he said that you said something about taking it out of welfare. So I'm just trying to get this straight on what you're doing, and are you encumbering funds for that?
We don't
Are
have a
you-
number yet. Did he give you a figure?
He did not, because he's not getting answers yet. He's
We need to know
emailed,
before the first of the year.
right,
Right.
and because I pulled his latest expenditures, and he's got $5,000 in there.
Right.
Of course, you're still paying him the rest of the year. Some of that's old homestay, but anyway, I didn't know if you were gonna take it out of this. And when he said welfare, I was like, well, what out of welfare would, where out of I mean, we have the money, don't
So-
get me wrong, but where would you get?
So I think, as I remember from that discussion, the comment about welfare had to do with, we were talking about somebody potentially not having the means.
Right.
So if,
Yes.
maybe they fit in welfare, maybe they don't.
Oh,
But
okay,
that's sort of like if we didn't have money someplace else.
Right.
I think the discussion,
and I wasn't here for the
discussion was
discussion.
revolving around educating Dennis and the notion that he can only work out of his budget, but we can work out of the whole budget.
Oh,
Right.
okay, because he
Right.
came to me and said,
Right.
well, I was told you guys can pay it out of welfare.
Well, no,
I'm
we
like,
can-
wait a minute.
We can run his budget over, but
Right.
he can't.
Right.
Right, right. And that's what I was thinking when I pulled the expenditures for him.
Yeah, no,
He's got-
you can't say, okay, we're gonna take it out of welfare.
Right,
uh,
right,
Unless it meets the welfare criteria.
exactly.
Right. But we know we have extra money in welfare that we could
Oh, yeah.
repurpose someplace else.
Yeah.
So,
So I just wanted to check on that because he's
But
like,
we-
he wants to be able to go to those two parents and say, this is what the town will help you with. This is what he's saying to me. He wants to be able to go to them, this is what the town will help you with to send these boys or girls, I don't know, children. So I said to him, I can't tell you that, because he came to me twice and said, well, what's you hear? I'm like, I don't know, I'll talk to them Monday about it. So I'm just trying to see what you're willing to do.
I think Dennis doesn't have an idea at all about how welfare works, which is you deal with certain criteria,
Right.
and qualification and all that, to take it as a
And I did
welfare officer
explain.
directly out of welfare.
Right,
And
But the long and the short of it is, all he needs to do is figure out how much it's gonna cost
mhm,
and let us know. And if it's $100,000, we'll say,
No, thank you.
thank you. But if it's, a reasonable trip to Texas for some young athlete,
Right.
we can do that, but we need to do it. Are you willing to
Quickly.
come in after Christmas?
Yes,
Okay, so Guy and I can come in and vote on this. We can call Bill and
Yeah.
Zoom him if we need to,
okay.
but
I mean,
But
they're
we
not
can't do
going,
anything
they're not
without-
going till February from the sounds of
it
it.
doesn't, we can't do anything with this year's money after January 1st.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
so, and it's okay.
Mhm.
If he doesn't have an idea before the end of the year, then it just has to come out of next year's money, that's all.
Yeah,
So that's the,
right.
So
it's
I
one way to
guess,
get a number now is so we
Okay,
can
so-
spend this year's money.
I'll give him what you just told me, but I'll also refer him to you.
you're welcome to.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I
they-
feel like he needs to hear it from
He
maybe
just
a
needs to
select.
work within his job description.
Yeah,
He's asked us to help, and we just need to know how much help
That's
he needs.
exactly right.
Right.
And I'd like to just be advised, I only have a few spears of hair left on top.
All right.
And going down fast, right? Okay.
Of all the duties that I have, practice and rec is one of the most frustrating.
gee, Chip doesn't understand that.
All right.
Chip understands that very well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
I
does.
didn't last anywhere near as long as you've lasted.
Yep. All right. Selectmen's updates.
Okay,
I
we
think that's
had
what-
our CIP budget meeting the other night. All three of us were there for the CIP, and then Brother Marcuson decided to.
Did you want me to stay the whole meeting?
No.
I mean,
The rest of the meeting went pretty well. We had a couple of questions.
What was Gary doing on trying to amend the minutes?
Gary was trying to make a political statement about wage discrepancies and benefit discrepancies, as far as if there's a 4% increase for somebody making $100,000, that's whatever. But if they're making $30,000, it's less. He was just trying to illustrate that dilemma that is not a dilemma that we can solve unless we pay everybody exactly the same amount of money. And we can't very well give lower paid employees a larger increase of COLA without doing a whole hell of a lot more work. And even then, I'm not certain that we could.
Right.
The other question that came up was a salary issue, and I hopefully didn't get too far along in that discussion before I said that that person who's asking the question, which was Chris Sawyer, needs to come in and meet with us in non-public if she wants to talk about a salary issue. We're not going to do that in a public meeting at the budget meetings, because there was too much contractual information that was going to need to change hands, and too much
Yep.
personal information that needed to change hands, and that's just not something we're going to do in public. Everything else went pretty smoothly, I thought. Guy was there. Did you?
Well, I think you handled everything that you could very well. There was a question about the ad hoc secretary, which had been added to the budget, I believe,
Right.
2 years ago.
Right.
So that was, my recollection is when we were working on Lang Pond Road, that's when it was, so that's
There was
more
a-
than 2 years
okay,
ago.
There was a lot, anyway, a lot of extra work,
Yeah,
and it's still in the budget line, and they liked it. So if we need an ad hoc secretary, we have money to?
right,
Yes.
right, and it's, but it's not big money,
No.
No.
so,
And a lot of it is, I mean, I hate to go there, but this budget is a description for the budget committee of how we intend to spend the money.
Yeah.
Things change during the course of the
Right.
year. And we're not gonna be constrained by their notion that we don't have a line item in order to do something that we
Right.
think needs doing. They have left.
as I recall, by law, if you don't have money budgeted in a budget, then you can't spend it. But a budget is one of the major categories, not individual line items.
Exactly.
So,
But I think, yeah, I mean, we got a really good collegial end going with the budget committee. Currently, they're holding out the financial administration to last because they
Personnel.
or personnel are browbeaten by insurances, but I would think after 2 years of pandemic, they'd get over it. And it is $27,000 less than last year, so it isn't as if it's an exploding budget item. And I guess we're meeting on the 28th, I believe.
That's what I heard, but then I've been told it's not, but I don't know.
I haven't been
It
told.
doesn't show on the calendar that way, it shows on the 7th, I think. Of
Okay,
January.
either way,
You're meeting again.
I think we need to, I had told them that I thought I could flesh out a generalized list of warrant articles that we might be considering. Not the warrant articles themselves, but
Right.
just so that they can take a look at
yep,
the money part of it. And I don't see any reason why we can't get that done, but, and we don't need to maybe do it today, but because it's not something that we're gonna vote on.
right.
It is something that we need to discuss. And I was hoping we'd have the whole operating budget done so that we could compare that. It was running at a pace of about 4 to 4.5% higher than last year, or higher than 2021.
Right.
Which is fine. The CIP proposed something over $1 million in
Almost $1.5 million is what they proposed.
and I just went through that pretty quickly. And
Yep,
I mean, I think we're somewhere in the 900,000 range. So
so,
we still haven't gotten
Yep.
final number on the police station.
No.
Right.
So I put some numbers together, looking at warrant, and that's not to, just some things we've been talking about. That's not to say that it's inclusive or correct. The number I ended up with on the police station is 267, I think it is. And that was just the difference between what we approved last year and the number on Cobb Hill.
Right.
So, and that doesn't include any, whatever, but that number is $1.4 million.
Right.
When you look at doing the truck, doing the wharf, which are two, $250,000 projects. Half $500,000 in paving, which is a plus up, and a few other things, and pretty soon we're talking about real money.
Yeah, the truck was not on my list of priorities.
Well,
And
Mine neither.
I was only at 50,000 on the cruiser. I don't know if does it work out to 70?
what do I have on there?
You have 70.
Oh, I think I put whatever they put in, I mean,
That was
I don't know.
80,
So, was it,
80?
according to this. Yes.
so maybe I said, oh, it's not that much. I don't know. But again, as we come down to the end, it's important to sharpen the pencil a little bit to
Right.
Absolutely.
put numbers in that are accurate. And as you may recall,
We've kind of,
more than once in recent memory, at town meeting, we've adjusted the numbers
oh yes.
and adjusted them down on some of these articles because we know it's not gonna cost that much, so. But it's, going into town meeting and saying we can adjust this down is always,
It's a positive thing.
well, it's always better than adjusting it up.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we have to collect taxes to pay for all this stuff, and,
Well, and also to jog Chip's memory just a little bit on another positive note, the library adjusted their request for their budget down
They did,
by a little over $15,000.
yeah, because they'd accumulated enough in donations and
oh, great,
Which is great.
slush, so they.
Yeah, that was very positive.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I feel good about what we presented for this year as our submission. I mean, there were some areas we took money out. Cost of living's kicking everybody in the pants, but
But it,
we
you
can't
know,
fix that.
Yeah, and some of us were here long enough ago to remember when we were doing 5 or 8% annually
Yeah,
in COLA.
yeah,
It just was the way the world was operating. This whole idea that, inflation's running rampant for the first time in human history is not true.
no,
We've had a reasonable amount of inflation predominantly through my life at any rate. But we had a great run of no inflation, which was, everybody would love to hold on
absolutely.
to.
Yep,
I think, yeah, and I think we can still look forward to having $100,000 or $150,000 going into the unbalance from this year's budget.
Mhm.
So that puts us in pretty good shape in October
yep,
to moderate any tax increases. Yeah.
yep.
I guess, yeah, if you would mind, I'll use your list and we'll just shock that off. I mean, I think we can work on this in January when we get back.
Right.
A little bit.
Right,
And-
so this is, back of the napkin kind of stuff. I
Right.
mean, is 70 right, is 50 right, I don't know. These are projects we've been talking about and looking at. Can we get them all done next year? We can do anything. It's just.
You don't know what the voters are gonna approve.
Well, we can present and pursue anything. It's just a question of
Exactly.
the impact it's gonna have on the taxpayers.
Right,
And-
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt you again. I just went up to talk to Dennis because he is here, and Lloyd Wood was there, and they said that Tufts thing is, they're requesting that money be encumbered. That's why he gave it to
That's what I thought.
Cammy,
How
and
much
Cam,
money?
I said, well, it says 2022 on there, and Lloyd said, no. I was told by Cammy that if we wanted to encumber funds, we had to have it in. So that's his submittal
The
for.
brain trust and the
right.
upstairs.
Do we have a budget? Did you give us a budget printout for, you did, for 2022? So, I thought he was budgeting for this stuff in his budget, his annual budget.
I said that to them, and Lloyd said that he had told Cammy that this is to be encumbered. They're requesting it to be encumbered for
Well,
next year.
okay.
Okay,
So if it's an extraordinary thing, right, that's outside what they're gonna do with the budget next year, then that's,
That's what it
I
sounds like.
get it, but I,
I asked one of them to come down,
How
so,
did you do that?
But they said no.
well, they said, can you just tell them what we want? Well, Lloyd said, I told Cammy what we wanted.
okay, but,
when I read this, I have no idea how much money they want to encumber, okay? They gotta do better than that, and,
Would you like to speak to Mr.
Hold on,
Lloyd?
hold on, hold on. What are you looking at?
excuse me?
The toughest thing.
The toughest thing is about docks.
Yes, that's for
Right.
the Parks
No,
and
we're
Rec.
not gonna encumber money for next year's work. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna, those two guys can vote on it, but this guy's not voting. We're talking about the trip, I thought. But,
Well, I thought that's what I went up there to talk about.
yep,
yeah, I'm
So-
not encumbering.
They
so-
said that they are submitting that as, and I'm the middleman, they are submitting that to have it encumbered for funds from, Dennis said he was told that any funds he had left, if they had a project in writing, that they could encumber the funds for
But
next
this
year.
isn't a project, this is just an annual expense. I mean, that's like saying,
I'm
we're
just
gonna mow the lawn next year,
we'll
so
encumber some
let's
funds.
encumber the money for
Yeah,
it.
this doesn't say, we're gonna repair the docks at this cost, or anything, it's just general stuff.
Right, and he's got budget money for next year for beach and dock maintenance.
Yeah.
So,
I guess the easiest way to get Kathy off the hook
Thank you.
is to say that we have every intention of funding his proposal,
Yes.
and we'll decide how we're gonna fund it.
Okay.
Is that a motion? Is that an emotion?
That's an E-motion. It could have been a promotion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why they
Yes.
don't just come down.
Yeah, we don't feel, well, you don't even get into it, because
right,
No.
yeah, you don't need to be the middleman
No,
on
I
this.
don't want to.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried.
We did talk to him about encumbrance, and he was talking about rebuilding or repairing. That's not what this is,
Okay.
okay? So if he had a proposal to have these sections repaired, and it was $2,000 to do the repair work on it,
We could encumber the funds.
we can encumber the funds. I would be comfortable with doing that.
Yes.
But
He doesn't.
encumbering the money to cover all of their install and remove next year, because he's already got money in the budget to cover that.
Okay.
And if it
So-
changes next year, then it becomes a work in progress
Right.
on that line item for the following year, because
Right.
we're gonna keep doing this every year. It's
Right.
not,
Yeah,
It's
add
not
another,
like-
yeah, add another line.
So if the
for it.
money in the budget doesn't cover it next year, it costs a little bit more, then selectmen help them find the money or,
right,
and
Work it out.
and it becomes something to build on for the next year.
yeah. And we're still waiting for a number on the trip to Texas.
Right.
I said to him I need a number, and he's like, well, I really want the selectmen to say, okay, we're gonna give that, this
No.
is Dennis, we're gonna, and I said, they can't do that. You have to come up with what the cost is gonna be per person and how much difference between what the parents can swing and what they can swing.
He can come to us with a proposal, okay? But the proposal can't be, will the town fund the trip without any idea what the
Right.
cost parameters are.
Unless it's a trip I'm taking.
Right.
So I did explain that, and Lloyd did say to him, you need something in writing saying
Right.
what things are gonna cost, so.
Yeah, and I don't mind paying for the airplane and the
Mhm.
hotel room, and they can
Yeah.
buy their own food. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be any more specific than an airplane ticket and a hotel room.
Right, and I said that, he said, well, they're saying about $100 for the hotel. I said, well, do you know what the flight's gonna be? No. I said, well, this is the things you need to
Yeah,
research. So,
yeah.
Yep.
And how hard is it to make a couple of phone calls? Call TripAdvisor or one of those companies.
Yeah.
And they'll
Yeah.
tell you what the hotel and the airfare is gonna be. You can go online and not even call
right.
All right. Do
That's
you
what
have
we're
anything
doing.
else for your update? You're done.
them. I think I'm done.
Yep. Okay.
I think I'm
Guy?
done.
I made an attempt to educate the Parks and Works director on how to encumber funds. Obviously, it failed. That's the best I can tell you for my selectmen's update.
So, let's see, what do I have? Planning board, last week, we had a hearing on an application for a home occupation, and it was approved. This is Laurel Ponson. Is going to be doing a outdoor education school for young kids.
Experiential.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Exactly. So, right up her alley. I mean, it's terrific. Yep. I think that was about the gist of it. For we did have some discussion about the master plan update and some of the recommendations that the consultant is putting in as part of stuff for us to review. And I tried to remind everybody that all of these recommendations that might go into the master plan are good, other than, to an extent, but any changes in zoning that we're gonna pursue down the road, the town has to accept it. So lots of times zoning change items get voted down because nobody has a clue what it is, or it's confusing, or it's, why are we doing this, or, so,
And if they're gonna do
Yeah.
it, they need to do a better job, and I'm just editorializing
Yeah.
a little bit, a better job at explaining the change. Because what happens is they'll throw in we're gonna change this language to read this. And I
Why?
have no idea what
why,
the impact is.
yeah,
or-
right.
or
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And how's it gonna affect me? And, you know,
What the town agenda.
are there unintended consequences, all those things.
Great.
Well, and the other thing is, it's great to say, as part of a master plan document, that these are things that we need to embrace in the future. But if we start having house meetings and talking to people and saying, this is some things we're looking at, and it's not getting any traction, then why do you put it on the warrant and go after it, only to have it shot down? I mean, the town is in control on this. Town meeting is in control on what actually happens.
Yeah.
Some of these things, I think, are not bad ideas, but when you sit on the planning board and you see stuff that comes through, your view of the world is a little bit different than the average voter in town who doesn't engage with this stuff all the time. So it's
We
like
got-
like anything you want to do, you got to make sure people understand it. And if there isn't any real interest in doing it, then
And purpose.
yep,
You know, it's a lot about purpose. I think.
yep,
Well, we have had zoning amendments voted down,
yes,
not that long ago,
yep.
and I'm convinced that at least one of them, nobody had any idea what this was all about.
Well,
It's just
that's-
terrible.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
And like Chip said,
right, right,
they say no because they don't understand.
right. So if the first time you see an amendment is when you go into the booth to vote, okay? You haven't heard anything about it, it's complicated, you know, or
You
it's...
don't have a dictionary in
Or,
your back
or there's a
pocket.
lot of arcane stuff, change the wording here to this and that, and it's like, why do you want to vote for it? And so it's communication, education, getting people
Right.
engaged, and it's great for the planning board to say this is something we need to do, but the town is the one that gets to say yea or
And
nay.
if there are limitations on what the DRA or whoever put on the wording of the warrant article, there's handouts. There's
Right.
All kinds of public
Yep.
information.
Right. So that's all I had. Any other business? Joe, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
All right, we do have need for a couple of non-public sessions. So I'll entertain a motion to go into 91A32:A for personnel.
I'll second.
Marcusson, yes?
Like, yes?
I'll be yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.